Welcome, everyone, to episode 18 of the Boardwall Broadcasting Company. Tonight I have with me the lovely Mel Bluebell and Noslam and Delethris. So tonight we're doing things a little bit differently. We don't have a set topic. We're actually taking questions from the community. Here in a moment, I am going to be posting a Google form, just like our usual weekly competition, where you will put your questions. In order to be entered for our drawing this week, you need to ask a meaningful question. It has to be meaningful and appropriate in order to be entered for that. If they are not meaningful or appropriate, I will go ahead and delete them out of the form. And then we're going to be actually asking an audience member to select a random number at some random point in the stream towards the end, and that will be who gets the reward, whether we did end up asking the question in the stream or not. So I'm going to go ahead and post that form for you now.
And keep in mind, meaningful and appropriate for one is not necessarily for the other. So questions for me, you guys know what to do. It's fine.
Yes, and you will have an opportunity to say who the question specifically is for, or if you are open to anybody answering it. If you're open to anybody answering it, I may random assign it to who I feel is the best person. So we do have some questions to get people thinking. And again, that form, I just copy pasted it, or you can go to tinyurl.com/boardwall Q-N-A. And that will take you to it as well. And I will occasionally post that link back up. Okay, so to get us started, I'm just going to throw a general question out there to each of you. We'll go D, Nas, Mel, and then back to me. Who is your favorite Soulbound developer and why?
I presume this is for me first?
Correct.
I would have to go with Snipe Hunter. And the reason why is because I think he brings something. I mean, all of the devs are kind of like, great, right? Let's get the brown nosing out of the way straight away. Nobody should feel slighted. But I feel that Snipe Hunter, especially with the way that he's taken or seems to be the lead in changing the mini games for crafting into something far more meaningful and far more in depth, I think is kind of like is going to give that extra edge to COE over and above what other games are. It's not a mini game anymore. It's an actual experience within the game.
Great answer. Snipe Hunter's definitely got a lot of very cool ideas, very accessible ideas. What about you, Nas? Who's your favorite developer?
Favorite developer. I'm gonna have to go with Caspian. He's the genius behind all this. He's the lead developer. He's the lead. He's the creator. You know, I don't always agree with his every position, his every remark, his every statement. But at the end of the day, it's his passion that's got us here, and I believe that he's going to continue championing through and produce a pretty amazing product for us. I mean, the dude's a genius. I have no doubt that Serpentius is a much better community manager than Caspian is, or would like to think he is. But Caspian's a coding genius, and I have every bit of confidence that he's going to continue putting together an awesome team and see us through.
Yeah, I agree. Just for clarification, because I've seen some things in the chat, Serpentius is technically not considered a game developer. He's considered the community manager and a community developer. So had I worded the question differently, I'm sure that, our answers would have included him as well, because I personally love Serp. I love working as a moderator because of Serpentius, and I'm sure Noslam can say the same. So Mel, what about you?
I'm really bad at these questions. First off, I'm terrible with names, so I'm probably going to butcher whoever's name I say, so I think I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to say just one, because I do think Snipe Hunter is done an amazing job, but I also really, really loved the environment art pieces that have come out. And I know the name starts with an R. It's Reventiel. Knew I was gonna butcher it, but anyways, I'm pretty sure he's the environment artist. And yeah, I've just been really impressed with a lot of the art we've seen for the biome so far. So yeah, that would have to be my semi-cheating answer.
Awesome. So mine, and it has to be Vi. I love Spider Queen. I have the biggest crush on Vi in the world, as many of
Girl
us
crush.
know. Oh, it's bad. It's real bad. She is the language queen too. So I've loved seeing her development of the languages, and of course I love that she trolled Caspian. She's just got a great personality, you know, trolling Caspian over. Many people have heard the cake bomb story, where I sent cake bombs to the studio for the holidays, and she totally trolled Caspian and told him they were trash so that he wouldn't get to eat any. And then he found out joke was on him at the end. And yes, as Serpentius just said in the Twitch chat, Vi is also a huge supporter of role-playing. And obviously I'm kind of our role-playing guru. So we are going to go ahead now. I want to remind people that are over in the Twitch chat, if you have already asked a question, even if that was 15 minutes ago while we were all sitting here chatting, please re-ask it in the Google form, as we are not technically taking questions from the Twitch chat. You have to put your question in the form.
We kind of have a history of missing the Twitch
Yes.
chat, so.
We're not great at that.
Well, yeah, and as we're just having kind of back and forth conversation, you know, things are going to get lost. Asking it in the form is going to get you entered for that drawing as well. So we have a bit of an announcement. As you guys are asking questions in the form, we have a Patreon, and we're going to go ahead and see a little promotional video for our Patreon while you guys are asking questions. So please do chat about this in the sidebar as we're watching it, because it is grade A amazing. I hope you guys enjoy. So
Yeah,
awesome. Go
I
ahead.
had to hire a very expensive actress for this video, so.
We did. Our
Yeah.
budget was real high.
Okay, let's take a look. Alright, so I'm supposed to make a video today about how we've set up a new Patreon account. Do you even know what that is?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, what it is it's a way for our friends in the community to send money to King D, because King D spends a lot of his own money on the stuff that we use, like software and all the different cool stuff that we use to make these videos. He buys it for us. He doesn't even worry about it. He's just like throws out money to everybody. So we created this little Patreon account so that people could contribute to the stuff that we're doing. And if they like what we're doing and they contribute money, then we can keep doing it and do a better job at it. What do you think about that? Does that sound like a good idea?
I don't want to give away money.
You don't want to give away money, but you want our viewers in the video to give away money, right? You want them to give us money so that we can keep making videos?
You can also buy toys.
And buy toys. Well, I don't know about that. That'll probably come out of Daddy's money. What do you think?
American Girl doll toys.
American Girl doll toys. Yeah, so I'll take care of that. You guys don't worry about that. But for the stream and for what we do at Boardwalk, we would appreciate your support. We've created this Patreon account, and yeah, you could subscribe as little as $1 a month to $10 a month to $100. You know, I don't know how deep your pockets are, but there are some perks and benefits to subscribing. And if you're interested in more, check the link and look at what we have to offer. And if you continue to support us, we'll continue producing the product that we do. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, she is literally so adorable. So I I went ahead and posted the Patreon link. As you saw there, it is pretty simple. It's patreon.com/boardwall. One of my questions to Dee was, how much are you spending on the community? And the number that he told me was astronomical. He alone for this community, for making these videos, for making our paper, our website, flip books, as some of you have seen, we do these incredible flip books. He has spent over $3,000 of his own money. It's actually closer to 4K just on things like web hosting, the different programs that we use, art from artists and more. So we would literally appreciate, and just for the record, Dee did not suggest this. I suggested this, and then I got everybody else on board, and Dee kind of begrudgingly was like, I mean, I guess I can't control you people. But even if you can donate $1 a month, if we could get everybody in the kingdom, even everybody on the stream, to donate $1 a month, you're going to cover the costs of a lot of the tools that we use to continue making this stream. So thank you to everybody who has already started to back us, and we will make sure that you have access to that link throughout the stream. So without further ado, let's pop over to some questions.
I'd like to quickly chip in on that, if I could, on the Patreon thing. Basically, you're right. In a couple of years, it's I've spent close to 4,000 now. This is totally nothing to do with the pledge packages or anything like that. It's the various gift packages that we purchase, the softwares that we buy, the server hosting, the modules, etc. We're actually having developed, it's a little on hold at the moment, but we're having developed a very, very sophisticated website in terms of the coding and everything. A kingdom isn't going to be just kind of like a 50 or 100 person guild. A kingdom, potentially come game launch, is going to have 16,000 players, and the infrastructure just for kind of like communicating amongst them all and everything like that, I mean, that's a huge online community. That's bigger than 95-98% of the online communities out there, and it requires somebody to manage and sophisticated tools to be able to track and everything like that. As I say, I haven't asked for it. I'm actually sometimes embarrassed by it, because it's like, to me these things are done voluntarily. But what it does do is the money that comes in on the Patreon just helps other things go on within the community. Maybe instead of giving an Illyria package, we can give a Bloodline package. We can do all kinds of stuff. It's money that basically gets reinvested back into the community. It's not a salary or this, but it does help take care of some of the bills. And so I just wanted to personally thank everybody that's gonna help out.
Yeah, absolutely. Dee has volunteered to host a contest for every episode. No one asked him to do that. He just gives and gives and gives, and we want to give back something in return. So that's what this is.
Yes, absolutely. And again, every little bit counts. So thank you guys very much. Do notice that we do have tiered rewards, and one of them is that you get to pick somebody on the creative team to play an hour or so of games with. Oh, there's Mel's dog.
That is my super masculine 80-pound greyhound. Can't you tell?
But you can play some video games with Dee or Nas or Mel or I, and maybe a couple other people. So we did try to include some cool rewards. And oh yes, cake bombs. Cake bombs are actually a possible reward. So there you have it. I'm glad somebody noticed the cake bombs. All right, so I'm going to start with a question for Nazlum.
Oh, shit.
Yep, I'm starting with you. Let's see. What being a count have you started to already make ideal breakdowns in percentage of how you plan to spend your taxes within your county or counties? And that is from Borne.
Borne asks all the great questions.
He does.
Let me just say that. So no, absolutely not. I have not determined how I'm going to break that down. I'm not like some of the others in the community where they're already trying to micromanage every aspect of the game before it's even launched. I'm waiting for those details to come out before we make decisions on that. But what we will do as a count is we'll follow the example of the duchy, of the kingdom, and if I end up being a duke, which I've heard is a rumor, I don't know, we'll follow the same example of the kingdom as well, and that, we'll tax, what is needed for infrastructure, for the domain, and we're not going to tax our people to death. We're going to take what we need to do what we need to do to ensure their safety, because as a count, that's what my main focus is, promoting growth within the domain and making sure that people like you guys have a safe place to come to and don't have to worry about, getting beat up on day one. So, that's what we're going to do.
Awesome. Mel, what is your greatest weakness and how do you think that will pose a challenge in the game?
My current weakness are my dogs. They're being super loud over there. Sorry about that. Oh Lord. Oh Jesus. Okay, so sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is your greatest weakness and how do you think it will pose a challenge in game?
Okay. That's pretty easy. I'm not always the best at keeping all the mechanics straight in my head at the same time. Like, some people are really, really good at keeping all the numbers straight to make really awesome builds for their characters, and I've never been great at that. I'm not god awful, but it's not my strong point by any means. But yeah, I have too much fun running around and looking at the world and all the models.
Agreed. I know that pain. That question was from Lidolf Einride, by the way. I will take this one. If you could choose any tribe for your kingdom to be, which one would it be and why? You guys get one guess. What is it? What is it?
We all know.
Somebody without eyebrows.
It's totally Kipik. What are you talking about? No, it would definitely be definitely be Dross. Why in particular? Aside from the aesthetic of Dross, I actually think that a lot of their mechanics could be really great for strategizing as a kingdom and as a community because of their terrain, their native terrain, and the fact that they are disease resistant and poison resistant and all that good stuff. Like, I could just see them being very hard for other tribes to come conquer. So I think that tactically they offer a lot of interesting aspects and they're creepy. So here, Kane's wrecking things behind me. Don't mind him. He's been drinking the mead. We've got dogs barking and husbands destroying things this stream.
It's a very lively show.
It is. A question from Double Whammy Jammy. How many people can we fit in a single shield wall? Will we have Kipiks holding tiny grass shields for everyone's feet? Who would like to answer that one? Because that one's
that's
fun.
A D question there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A shield wall can almost be limitless in numbers. People, just the philosophy of a shield wall, how they actually used to do it in Saxon and Viking times, which is probably the two cultures that most epitomized, at least for me, the philosophy of a shield wall is you would have kind of like the shields interlocked at the front. Obviously, the Romans and the Greeks had their versions as well, but the key is that it wasn't just one line. It was the people that were behind it. It would be kind of like 4 or 5 deep, so that there would be mass. I don't know, whether those kind of mechanics will come into play in game, but certainly the ones behind you had people actually reaching above from behind in the second rank with axes, bashing down and crashing on the shields of the opposing shield wall. And you actually had people kind of like almost down on the ground, thrusting and jabbing at the legs of the opponent's shield wall. So I can see the Kipik kind of like being kind of like underneath the shields of the front line, beating and bashing and basically clubbing people's toes and everything like that in the shield wall. I think they might be very, very useful. Never underestimate the Kipik.
Serp just now realized that we had naked asses in our logo. So if he bans any of our posts, that's why. He just didn't realize it before.
You'll also notice those naked asses are flipping the middle finger. This is part in tribute to Braveheart. Is where that came from, where they raised their kilts against the overwhelming odds and still win the day.
Yeah, our secret is out.
Busted.
Let's see. Question from Hawkeyes. I'll say that this one, Nas, and then maybe Dee might have an opinion on this too. How would you react to the presence of a mage? And if a kingdom member became a mage, what would you do? Let's say that they manifested, to make this a little bit more specific, a talent that was actually quite dangerous.
I don't think I would do anything other than, rally my supporters and come to an agreement on what the best option is to move forward. I'm not a person, and Dee is not either. I don't want to speak for him before him, but I don't think we're the type of people that says, no, you do this or you do that. We work together as a team, as a community, as a domain, as a duchy, as a kingdom. And put multiple heads together and figure out which way is the best way to handle that. And that's a very typical hypothetical of what we're going to see in COE. And I think it's important that it be addressed the same as any other situation that comes up like that. You work with your community and you figure out what's best for your community, and you move forward.
Anything to add to that, Dee? Or do you think he summed it up pretty well?
No, I think he summed it up pretty well. I mean, I think people have to realize and understand that, yes, we have a feudal system basically in game, right? And a hierarchy, which goes from the monarch down through the duke, through the count, through the baron and mayor, through the village elders, etc. But people have to understand we're not in feudal times, and the mentality of people playing, the majority of 95% of people that aren't going to be titled is modern day. And if you start treating them like serfs and peasants and ordering them specifically what to do, unlike medieval times where they couldn't leave, or if they did, they were executed in real life, or at least that was the right of the Lord to do so if he chose. People on the internet can just basically, they can just say, F you and move somewhere else. And so what we want to do is to create a community, to create an environment, a culture where people want to contribute, where people see that it's beneficial, not just for the community, but actually for themselves personally as well. And that's, when people find, be it a gold mine, a talent, or whatever, sure, they should kind of like profit personally from it. But it would be great if along, with their personal profiting, the community gets a little bit of benefit with it as well.
Awesome. I think that both of you had great points on that one. And now we're going to take a completely other direction question. This is another question from Bornay. I'm going to pose it to Mel. Mel.
Oh, God.
How did Noslam make such an adorable kid looking like he does?
I'm going to say one word, and it is Brenly.
For those of you who do not know, Brenly is Noslam's gorgeous wife. And that is the true answer right there. Oh, man. She is pretty adorable, though.
She married me for my money. that kind of stuff.
To buy all the American Girl dolls.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's see. I have one from Capt. If you were to name something as an end game goal for what you want to do in COE, what would that be? I will know I have one COE when people travel through the game to come to my settlement of Awena to try the food. My real end game goal is to have it be a RP settlement and for it to be a place that that people travel to from all over the game. So if I can achieve that, if people are showing up and saying, I heard of you and I heard of your food or your role playing, I will be completely set. That would make me the happiest. All right, let's see. Let me pick one for D. And listen to some doggies bark. D, when and if we are called up to support the war efforts, will we have colors that will distinguish us on the battlefield? This is from Sabacat.
That's a difficult one, and it's kind of like it's a yes and no answer. And let me try and explain why. Obviously, I think, we're going to potentially be able to see battles that involve kind of like, maybe 100 players aside, perhaps even more. I don't know what the server capabilities are going to be on that. We know that battles aren't going to be instant, so I guess it's whatever your graphics card, your computer, and the server can handle. So having colors is going to be beneficial, but we have to be careful with that because I think that colors would have to be chosen during the day, on the day of battle. Because, for example, if the royal party with the king, for example, is on the battlefield and they're all in green, it would be so easy if the enemy know that to get a group of their people ahead of time, all kitted out in green, and get close and actually assassinate the king. And it's not that I'm kind of like worried about my character himself kind of like going down, but I would imagine that because there are leadership roles and the fame and reputation, I would imagine that the higher up you go, like a baron will have a certain amount of maybe combat buff on the field of battle, a count even more, a duke more so, and a king the most of all. The taking out an enemy monarch, if he's present on the battlefield, will be a big coup and could be a game changer. And so maybe we're all in green, but on that day, your left foot is like a purple metal shoe or something that wouldn't be easy to replicate, so that people could be seen, and that's what the bodyguard would wear, kind of thing. But yeah, just those are my thoughts on that.
That is a very, very smart answer. Even Serpentius said, sounds intelligent. Frankly, don't tip your hat until you have to.
You can get a lot of intel by, changing colors and, letting people think. For example, when I was a police officer, I used to pull people over and, I'd pull, 12 people out of a Chevy Chevette, and then none of them spoke a lick of English. And I would say, if you guys aren't going to talk to me, I'm just going to have to, bring some friends down here you probably don't want to talk to. Oh, no English. And then, my partner would get there and I'd say, fuck it, shoot the one in the red shoes. And they'd all look down at the ground. So they understood English, you know what I mean? So, we have to be careful about, what colors we pick. And honestly, I don't even know if it's going to come to that in game. And just to throw my opinion in there, I think that, we're going to have our houses that are going to have their banners, and those people are going to know their people. And, your house is going to be fighting against, the house across the field, and all of the people on your side, you're going to know who they are. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think individual groups are going to have their own banners and their own colors, and they're all under, one big kingdom, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's so up in the air that we're not really going to know until we have even more mechanics for how things are going to work, which leads me into another question that I do want to ask each of us. What is your favorite mechanic that's either unique to COE or that COE intends to flesh out more than other games have in the past? This is from Tove. And whoever wants to jump on that first. So again, what is your favorite mechanic that's either unique to COE or that COE intends to flesh out more than other games have in the past?
Who's that to?
All of
It's
us.
open. It's an open question. That is such a tough one because
I know.
there are so many of the game mechanics we don't know about. But I think what I would reply to that is, rather than pick on a mechanic, I think it's just the whole concept for me of COE, based upon the very first game that I ever started playing was like back in 97 or 98 was Ultima Online. And that was a game that, although it didn't like really have quests, you could make of the game what you wanted to. And it was kind of archaic, and it's like an isometric, top-down kind of view, and very dated now and everything like that. But I've got to say that it is very just the freedom that you had in that game has been difficult to find for me in any game since. You could the community would get together and create little towns and cities, and they would sometimes spend a year or 2 years trying to buy up all the plots of land. It wasn't, oh, let's go do a raid today and you're done with it. They were kind of like long-term goals, and this is what I see happening, potentially in COE. It's that ability to, different groups are going to have different agendas. Sometimes it won't matter that they have different agendas. Sometimes their agendas will be compatible and they'll join up. And sometimes those agendas will be in conflict. And this is what's going to drive that whole story. And it's a story that isn't necessarily created by your level one, you go meet the person, you're going to be the savior of the entire game, as are the 20,000 other individuals playing, who are all playing this exact same storyline, all doing the exact same quest. I mean, this is what excites me about the game. It's where we take it. The game mechanics are being put in place for us, but it's where we, as the various communities and even the sub-communities within the communities, and how they support and fight against each other, that's going to be that's the key to the game for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is a very broad question. For me, mechanically, I think that the applications for role-playing, how basically it is a role-playing game, and just like any single-player game where you kind of have to run around and play the role of the main characters, whatever the story is, we are getting to kind of leap off from that point that you were just making. We're getting our own unique quests and the story hooks and all of that we can choose to step into the role of or resist. And so I'm most interested to see how this Destiny system with the Zodiac that were just released, and with all of the aspects that are going to go into character creation with picking your birth date and all that, how they are going to end up panning out. And yeah, the whole avalanche metaphor that they were using in the official Soulbound Studios Q&A. I'm really curious to see how many avalanches, so to speak, that we're going to end up with because of that system. What's going to queue, and are we going to have more people that are leaning towards particular Zodiac, or are we going to be shut out? If people are picking the same birthday over and over and over again, are they going to be locked out of that? I'm really curious to see how that's going to work. But overall, the quest system in this game, to kind of summarize, is the thing that I'm most looking forward to, because it's not like any other quest system. It's a unique story that is tailored to you. So that leaves Mel and Nas. You've had some time to think about this.
No, I haven't. I've been busy pushing buttons over here.
Is that right?
Oh my god. Do you want to go, Nas, or do you want me to go?
No, I don't ever want to go. But yeah, sure. Favorite feature of COE, huh? So,
yep.
What am I most looking forward to as a feature in COE? What I'm most looking forward to, I kind of was this asked at our freaking meet and greet the other night. I feel like I've answered this recently. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I just gave myself a shameless plug, and I don't feel bad about it.
No, Naslim, do not shameless plug this one because this week I have to get drunk and answer
and
questions.
you're
and I am
hosting.
not looking
You're
forward to
hosting this weekend, so if everyone comes out and supports us, then they're all asking you questions, and our little hour and a half ordeal turns out to be an all-nighter. That's great. I'm okay with this. Anyway, so
stressing me out.
the favorite feature that I'm looking forward to in COE, I honestly think I've mentioned before the community structure and everything that goes into that. How we our barons have to get a contract with the Duke, and just how all that social aspect of the game is put together. And I'm gonna enjoy most of my time on the land management table and managing the domain, and all of that is so cool. I'm looking forward to crafting. I'm looking forward to meaningful crafting, not just click here, wait a certain amount of time, click that, and then the resources are lost forever. You can't break them back down and try again or anything like that. Just a meaningful crafting system that's close to life itself. I think those are the most exciting things I'm looking forward to.
Good deal, Mel. You've had plenty of time.
I know, and I still haven't picked just one. Surprise. Yeah, my favorite mechanics are probably I really love the Destiny system just because it does get really tiresome to like every time if you're on a game and you want to make like a different character with a different class, you have to basically play through the exact same storyline all over again, and that gets pretty tedious. So with the Destiny system, we won't have to do that, which I find really exciting. I'm also, like Nas said, the crafting system with the architecture tool and all of that. I'm so excited for all of that. I think there's just so much more freedom, I think, in this game to really be creative with how you play, what you do, that sort of thing. And if I had to pick a third, I really like the language and communication mechanics that they've got in place. I think those are really, really interesting. And I can't wait to see how they function in game and how everyone uses them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, gotta love Vi and her language genius. Dee, this question I picked because I am curious of the answer here, and I'm wondering if you are capable of describing this in a concise way. When faced with two equally qualified candidates, how do you determine who to choose?
Ooh,
that's a tough one because to be quite honest, there's never kind of like it's never equal because they'd have to be clones of each other. There's usually one thing or another. But what I do, are you talking candidates for what? Are you talking kind of like for?
The question did not specify. I'm imagining this for COE purposes, it might be So
like
let me put a
offices, something like that.
Yeah, or let's say you have a spare county because you went ahead and conquered it, and you don't want to take over that. How would you choose between two counts with the same background to take over that land?
That is something that I would kind of like talk to my advisors within the community about. I mean, we don't kind of like have a council that votes per se within Boardwall, but we've got a group of about, I don't know what it is now, it's probably about 13, 15 people, and we kind of like, we talk, we chat, we discuss, and we get a general feeling and a consensus. And the nice thing about it is we're not all in accord, we're not all in agreement on that council, and people were chosen specifically for that. We don't need a bunch of yes men and everybody who nods in agreement. We need people who are kind of like, know how to pose contradictory or conflicting even positions and arguments without being confrontational, if that makes sense. So we like to kind of like look at any situation from all sides, so to speak, and then I'll get input from the people, but in the end, the buck stops with me, kind of thing, and I'll pull the trigger on who I think is the best qualified. And if it's that close, I might put together what we have. It would almost be like a contract. We call them charters, where we would give somebody a tryout in the position for like 2 months or 3 months, make sure they're doing all right, and make sure they meet certain goals. That's probably how we'd go about it.
Well, that was a fairly concise answer. Thank you. That one's got so much depth to it. You could really break down so much about a particular person and their character and what makes them quality or not. Let's see. As far as
it doesn't, and just to follow up quickly on that, I mean, it's not a matter necessarily of liking somebody, right? It's a matter of finding somebody that's the best qualified for the position. And so if a position, let's say, no pointing at devs here or anything like that, this is just coincidental and as an example, but if we got somebody that needs to code a website, right, and that's all they're going to be doing, they don't have to be the most kind of like social person, or kind of like, most kind of like, able to talk and chat, etc. Whereas somebody that's kind of like, our own kind of like, for Boardwall, our own community manager, they might not necessarily need to have kind of like a Harvard degree in this or that. They just need to know how to work the crowd and what works with social media, etc. If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, D did mention a council that I'm not aware of, but he does have a group of people that, he mentioned 12 or 13. I'm not even sure who all those are, but D has people that he has confidence in. In Boardwall, we always say cream rises to the top. And so, if you're bringing good ideas to the table, D's going to listen to them, and you might not get all the recognition you hope for, because a lot of what we do, all of us here on the show today, we do in the background. We don't do it for applause or praise. We just do it because it needs to be done. But yeah, there's a lot of people that I assume D would go to in those situations and get feedback on, and it's not just a popularity contest in this case. It would be, who do you support and why? What are your reasoning behind that? And then, if I were in his situation, I would take all that into account and make the best decision I could. So I think I would handle that in a similar fashion too.
Sure. Yeah, and Bernie just mentioned the board moot. We have a kind of a, I guess it's sort of elected, but sort of not, people that can share opinions with the community. And
it's a think tank. Board moot's a think tank for different areas of the kingdom, and the dukes bring in people that they want to represent certain areas of their constituency, and they bring ideas to the table, and as a kingdom we take a look at those, and I think they're still getting started. That's a new idea, fairly recent.
The board moot is it consists of a duke. Each duke kind of like has his own kind of like, so to speak, little group. But we have, all the dukes are in there. Each duke can have a count from his duchy, a mayor, a baron, and then two. Was it 2 counts? We have. It's 2 counts. Yeah, it's 2 counts: a mayor, a baron, and then 2 citizens. So that if we wanted, it's so that the duchies can better communicate amongst each other. They can pose questions like, oh, hey, we're looking at doing this within our duchy. How are you guys going to be doing it in yours? It's so that, ideas can be shared. It's so that if a duke, for example, wants to say, oh, hey, I'm looking at doing this regarding taxes, how do all the non-titled people, then you get an answer from all the non-titled people, not just in that duchy, but from all the duchies kind of thing. And so we can get a kind of like gauge a better idea and a feeling. It's like a focus group almost, with almost like little titled It's very cool.
That was such a good question. I mean, there's so many different ways you would. There's no one way you would handle that, you know. And to be successful as a community, you have to put up multiple systems in place to deal with things like that come up, and trust in your community and reach out to them for good feedback and hope they're provided, you know.
By the way, there is a plea in Twitch chat for Mel and I to take over a duchy or be given a duchy so that we can be dual duchesses, and we're going to have lots of food, art, and wine, especially the wine. And coffee.
Yeah.
But also lots of wine, so it's
lots of wine. We need to make this happen. Speaking of which, Mel, here is a question for you.
Okay.
This is such a great segue and so inappropriate.
Oh God.
I like it already.
Do you intend to contract out a companion for an heir, or have you secured an in-game spouse for that purpose?
I haven't given much thought to that. I'll be really honest.
Well, I know there's an easy way to a duchy. I'm just saying. You just.
Oh my God. You already got a duchess. Settle down. Oh my God. Yeah, I haven't really planned that out so far, so I can't really answer that.
Yep, Serpentius says the suitor
we'll
line
see.
begins. Everybody's gonna be lining up for your hand now. It's okay. I already have like 3 on hold. You can have one of mine.
I'll make sure you marry up, though. Don't worry, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
If I don't surpass you first.
Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna pick like one more question, I think. And so again, at a random point here in the next few minutes, I'm going to ask for a number between 2 numbers, which you will know at the moment. And the first person to type in the number will be the person that picks the winner for the EP drawing. However, that person, we do normally expect that person to be currently live in the stream, so they will check in when I call their name out. Let's see. What is a good one to end with? How about I just love this Kipik one about the grass, tiny grass shields.
So good.
Oh, there's so many good ones, guys. How do I pick one? I'm really impressed. We ended up getting close to 40 questions today. And I do want to remind everybody about the Patreon announcement, that video. If you want to watch Naz and his adorable child later, you are more than welcome to rewatch that. That is on our YouTube channel. Let's see. As far as mechanics are concerned, do you feel there's balance between the deviant to bardic trees? Do you think deviancy will be too easy, too hard? Is there a certain mechanic you'd personally like to see implemented for the fight between crime and law enforcing? Noslam, for you, because you have real life experience, do you think that there's enough balance there? How would you make it more balanced?
I wouldn't. It's not supposed to be balanced. Being a criminal is not supposed to be easy. Y'all are in a fucking fantasy world. PvP, I'm going to PvP all day, every day. No, you're not. Shut up. It's stupid. I'm sorry. It's oh my God.
I was just gonna rage quit the stream.
Deviancy is not supposed to be easy. It's not. It has to be balanced. Like, I have to be able to pickpocket people without getting caught. No, you have to be good. Anyway, I don't know. I don't think it should be balanced. I think it should be a hard life, and I think the reward should be great. I mean, you steal somebody's shit, you did something for nothing. But if you get caught, like, the penalty should be very severe as well. I don't think it should be balanced. It's not balanced in the real world. It's not easy to be a criminal. Well, I mean, it is, but when you get caught, it's
not
game.
Easy to be a good one.
Yeah, it's game over forever. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I don't think it should be balanced. I'm not worried about balance there and whether or not criminals can pickpocket me. And the game is fair to people that want to steal my shit. I'm not. Sorry. Okay. Next question.
Man, we got Noslim right up on that soapbox for the last question. Could
Well,
not
so
have done better.
so we know what buttons to push with Muslim in the future, right?
We do. We do. All right. So it is going to be, let's see, a number between I'm counting, continuing to count. Good Lord. Okay. 2 and 29. Go. First in chat. Now I wait for the
Type a
lag
random
between
number.
But
Twitch.
yeah, you gotta wait
Pick
for
a
the
number
20-second
between
delay.
2 and 29.
Renegade.
4's the
Okay.
winner.
4 is the winner. All right. The number 4 question was Renegade Dastards. We did not ask her question, actually. So let's go ahead and, as we're wrapping up stream, and Renegade, I'm pretty sure I saw her here. Yep. Her question was, what's your policy on intelligent non-man creatures? I'm pretty sure this is, how do we feel about dragons? So I personally love friendly dragons like Renegade, who's a tiny dragon, and Serpentius, who is the greatest dragon of them all. So I don't know about you guys. And there's Renegade chat. our Serp stream element.
Perfect. Yeah, we're all
Anybody
pretty
against
biased.
dragons? Anybody? No, we all for dragons? Good.
Red
Nope,
would like never
we're
speak
good
to
with
us
them.
again if we said we weren't.
I mean, we're going to have kind of like, I don't know how smart the Leffit is going to be in some of the pets that we get, the Phoenix, etc. We haven't been that. I don't know if they're going to be semi-sentient beings or semi-intelligent or smart. We'll see.
I do believe that that phoenixes are not going to be sentient according to current lore. Nor do they have a soul, I'm pretty sure, according to lore. So that will be interesting to see if we get any creatures that are technically sentient. Bornay, if that is true, you need to contact D. That is something between you and him to get rewards. So Renegade, please do contact D. Thank you all for tuning in for our Q&A stream. This was a lot of fun. It was, instead of our usual deep dive on topics, we got to know us a little bit more. And if you liked this format, do please reach out and let us know. That way we could maybe do something like this once in a while and have the drawing be based on questions instead. Thank you for all of you who were engaged in the Twitch chat tonight. And normally a couple people will hop over into the main Chronicles of Valyria Discord, into the Tavern chat, I believe it is. Is that correct? Tavern chat? Yep.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
the inn.
we
You got
had
Tavern.
60 viewers, 60 plus viewers. I think that the community is interested in this format. For me, it's kind of stressful because we don't get to see the questions up front. It's like live during the show. I mean, a couple in the forum post here and there. But yeah, I definitely think we should do this again. I'm all for it. I don't know about you guys, but and maybe we'll get some tougher questions next time. And
Yes.
you
Ask
know,
me about art, not suitors.
yeah. Oh,
and Noslim's adorable children.
it's not always
Yeah.
what you
Yeah, like,
want.
come on,
Mel.
guys.
It's what
Maybe-
we're interested in, Mel, not
Yes.
what you want.
Yeah.
So okay.
Maybe I'll pick and choose some of the best private messages I've gotten about people
Ah.
wanting to be a queen.
Oh.
So, yeah.
geez.
I plead the fifth on that one. Anyway.
I haven't sent you those in a long time, D. Knock it off.
All right,
So
thank you,
Serpentius
everybody.
did say the inn chat over in not the tavern. Switch to the inn if you are currently there. And I'll hop over there and let people know to hop up. So some of us might see you over there. Again, thank you for tuning in, and
Bye,
we're going to
guys.
do our outro.